Hey everybody. Well, not so good news here. As you can see, I got the fan back off this Plymouth of mine. Kind of having to go back to the drawing board on this cooling system issue I've been having. Just to recap, I've been driving this car and it's not boiling over, it's not running excessively hot, it runs nice and cool down the road. It has a new radiator in it, all new cooling system components. But the problem is when it gets to slower speeds, it tends to heat up. It's not moving enough air at lower engine speeds and idle, and it's heat soaking really bad. When I park it and come back out after 15-20 minutes or something like that, it's up to about 240 degrees going by the gauge. So, and it's just moving around too much. It shouldn't run any more than about 109 degrees at any time because it has a 180 degree thermostat in it. So been doing some more research on this issue, and the first thing I've learned is that it's easy to make some wrong part selections if you put a car together from scratch, kind of like I did this one. Back a couple years ago when I was gathering the parts up for this project, I had an engine and transmission, and the engine was an air conditioning equipped engine that came out of a truck, I guess it was. Not originally, but that's what it was in. So I had to get pulleys and fan and things like that to go. This car doesn't have air conditioning, as you can see. There's no air conditioning, so they use a different, single groove water pump pulley and just a double groove for the bottom if you got power steering. There's actually two different bottom pulleys. I've got the right bottom pulley, and I'm using this deep 3-inch water pump pulley to line up with the alternator here. So I wasn't awful sure if I had the right water pump pulley. It looks awful large, it's almost about the same diameter as that where it goes around the crank down there. So I thought, well, maybe it's just turning the fan too slow. And I checked this number, if you can see it here. There's a number on there, 295. That is a 1836 there, and that's the correct pulley. That's the common water pump, 3-inch water pump pulley without air conditioning. So that's right. That's all right. That answers that question. So then I thought, well, I put the shroud on. It's still not really helping. So something else is going on here. I don't have a capacity problem. As far as radiator capacity, I don't think, but I must have an airflow problem, because it's up when you're sitting idling and at low speeds, it's up to the cooling fan to be able to move enough air to keep it cool. So you'll see over here a couple cooling fans I have. This is one that came off the car just now. This is one I've been trying to use. This is a 5-blade. I believe this is an 18-inch, either 17.5-inch or 18-inch, what you call flex fan. This one over here is, I believe this is a 20-inch flex fan. Now they call them flex fans because you notice I can take this blade here and move it around. See how it's flexible? The idea here is this is supposed to kind of do the same job as a thermostatic clutch fan. That means when it's turning slow, there's not much airflow coming ramming in the radiator. These things are supposed to be pitched like they normally are and move air, keep it cool. But when the engine speeds up and there's air ramming through the radiator at road speed, it's supposed to flatten these blades out. But if you take a look here, I found one problem. I realized pretty quickly what was up. I noticed this before on the other video, but I didn't think that much about it. But if you look at the pitch on these blades, you notice the pitch on this one, I believe this is a 1.5-inch pitch, close to that, or it may be a 2 1/4, 2 inch, something like that. I'll tell you this much: there's several different ones for each model year. It's unbelievable how many different ones. But this is this is for a slant 6. I researched the number on it. All these Chrysler fans always have a part number on them, and this one is, where did I see that? It's on one of the blades, I believe. Hang on. Well, I could see it because I could see it with it on the car. Let's look on the back. Oh yeah, there it is. Here's the part number. 407-1034. And it's got a date code there, J77. Now I remember now what this came off of. When I was looking at getting all these pulleys, I got that off of a Lorry, a slant 6. And I didn't think anything about it. I thought a fan's a fan, you know. But this is obviously an undersized fan for a V8. So this is a V8 fan, and I know this is a V8 fan because I had the car it came off of. If you look at these blades, you see they're much more sharply pitched, so they potentially have a lot more airflow capability. And this fan number here, I believe, is let's see, that is let me turn it here. Looks like 346-2180-2190, and that date code is K of 74. So that's late 74, and this came off that 75 Duster. So I know that's exactly the right fan for it. All right, here's the rub though, guys. I know you can say, well, why don't you just throw that fan on where that one was? Well, the problem is, I can't do that because see how much larger it is? And it won't fit in this fan shroud. And you can't put a larger fan shroud on this 22-inch radiator. So, because you look down in here, these cars, up in about 73, they never did use any larger than about a 22-inch radiator, which is what you got here. In fact, some of them, I may have told you on another video, actually used a 19-inch radiator, the slant 6 without air conditioning, and the V8 without air conditioning. I can't believe they'd ever do that. But so, I remember my friend had one of these cars. He had a Demon back about 20 years ago, and it had the slant 6 and it had the 19-inch radiator with no shroud on it. And he had a 4-blade fixed fan. Now, a fixed fan means it does not flex. It means it's just made, you've seen them on the old cars, it's like a cross type fan, and you can't bend the blades or anything. And that's what he had on his, and that car never ran cool. It was like this one. It just, you know, it was temperamental. And so I thought about this situation, and I thought, well, what am I going to do? I could go to the junkyard and get a fan, but then I remembered that my brother had given me a fan off of something he had, and I didn't think much about it. And I got over here and dug it out and looked at it, and here it is. This is the bad boy of the fan world, at least the 18-inch fan world. This is a, get back here and let's take a look at it. This is a 7-blade thermostatic, actually it's not thermostatic, this is what you just normally call a viscous fan clutch. And it came off a 73 motorhome with a 440 in it. And it's one way you can tell on these fans, if you can't find a part number, you can tell if you got the right one or not, is these fans tend to sit pretty close to the radiator. So if you see, these radiators have a tank on the top of them, and Chrysler wanted to get the fan close enough to the radiator, but they didn't want to hit that tank, so they've all got a notch cut out of them. Now those don't, because they don't sit that close to the radiator, but this one does. See, I've got it cut out. And plus I know this is original because it's got a Pentastar on it with the part number for this fan clutch. And I think this fan clutch is pretty good still. I think this engine only had about 70,000 miles on it, if that. And back here, it's got a stamp that says engine side. But as far as fitting in the fan shroud, it does. It's just fine. And of course, they have made larger fans. This is not the larger one, but this is the most bad A fan I can put on that car. There's no other better fan on it. So this is going to do it, or it's not going to do it. I did find the part number over here on it. This is a 286 3215 fan, and that was actually used on a lot of different things. But one thing it was used on, 70 darts with 318 in air conditioning, so yay. Now the thing is, with it being non-thermostatic, means it does not have a coil spring on the front of it. It's going to run pretty much all the time, but it kind of, when you rev it up to a certain RPM, certain speed, it kind of starts slowing. You know, it doesn't keep on building. It won't turn 4,000 RPM. By the time it gets about 2,500 or so, it'll start slowing down. The engine won't be able to turn it any faster. But then when it slows down, it's going to run. So it'll be a little bit more noisy. I don't care. And I did fit it on here. It does fit right on the hub just fine. It will clear the radiator, just meant to be. And the only thing you got to do is, on these, you got to go get some bolts. These bolt to the water pump there. And they don't, well, the other one did too, but the other one uses a spacer you see under there, right there. So it's got these long bolts to go in. So you got to get these shorter ones. And the size is a 5/16 by 18 by 1. Grade 8 hex flange bolt, and you can get these at any parts store. I got these, I think, at O'Reilly. O'Reilly. So okay, I'm gonna throw that boy on there, and we're gonna test this thing some more, and let's hope this finally resolves it. I don't know about these flex fans, so we'll try this one. Right, I'm going to let it sear and run a while and see what the temperature looks like. It's loud.